Hey everyone, it's Allie, and I want to talk about Ascendancies and PoE 2. Recently, we had a reveal live stream that went over a lot of things that are coming for PoE 2, and the Ascendancies really stuck out to me as probably one of the biggest winners for GGG design wise. They have done an unbelievably good job with at least what we've seen so far of the Ascendancies to bring new life to them and honestly get away from the blandness that was plaguing the PoE 1 Ascendancies. A lot of the PoE 1 Ascendancies just kind of stopped becoming unique after so many years, to where very few nodes were giving you any sort of unique playstyle to build around. For example, such as Righteous Providence, where it effectively made you want to stack a lot of strength and intelligence to get a lot of crit chance. At first, at least that's how it felt a few years ago, there were a lot of things like that where, wow, I can go play a Pathfinder and play some sort of poison build and I'll really get a lot of benefits from it. But now over the years, Pathfinder has turned into more of a here's a generic good flask plus poison ascendancy. And if you want to build one of those two, you can have fun with it. It'll be pretty strong. But there's nothing build enabling there. Like sure, you'll have the poison prolift, but there's nothing to write home about. You can get it through other means. And while the flask recovery is really cool, at this point, Pathfinder has basically become a belt where you can get the majority of what Pathfinder can give you through other means. Well, with PoE 2, they have done an unbelievably good job at revitalizing and pretty much fixing the exact issues that I was having with Ascendancies and PoE 1. They've decided to go the route of let's add in a bunch of really cool nodes. Well, some of them are just straight up damage nodes, which are fine. We can't have every node be amazing. But the little nuggets here and there that every Ascendancy have basically allow you to completely rethink how you're going to be putting your build together or completely make you rethink how to play the game. A good example of this is going to be the Acolyte of Chayula. Now, the Acolyte of Chayula is mostly going to deal with things chaos related as well. It's the Acolyte of Chayula. It makes sense. It's thematic. And while we have a few bland nodes in here, such as plus 10 maximum chaos res is doubled, which while is cool, is not necessarily build defining unless there's something where you can abuse having maximum chaos res through some sort of unique. We also have other things that basically have never either existed before or haven't existed in PoE for a long time, or that could potentially enable you to do some really crazy things. A good example of this is Ravenous Doubts. Now, at first, this seems like a pretty simple node of it just giving you instant mana leech, which by itself is a pretty powerful effect, just effectively completely taking care of any sort of mana problems that you have. But when we combine this with the new Mind Over Matter, which allows you to take all of your life damage as mana first, what we could potentially do with this is play Mind Over Matter Ravenous Doubts, which then makes it so all of our damage is taken as mana, all of our abilities cost mana. If we get a little bit of mana leech and constantly hit things, we effectively have insane health regen and all of our mana costs are taken care of. And then this allows us to do something like go low life, which would then allow us to get insane crit scaling, which is something that was never possible before, as the Mind Over Matter in PoE 1 only gave you 40% conversion, with other items bringing it all the way up to 60%. So no matter what, you still had to have your health pool available to take some of the hits. We can then combine this with something like Embrace the Darkness, which removes all of your spirits, which is the new resource that you can use to reserve auras or summon minions from. And instead, it turns it into darkness, which acts like a little damage buffer. But what we could do with this is, because the damage buffer works specifically for life and energy shield damage, is we could have 0 energy shield and play Mind Over Matter, which makes it so we'll never take life damage until we're basically dead, allowing us to permanently keep the darkness at the maximum effect. When you combine this with Grasp the Void, which gives you increased chaos damage per 20 unreserved darkness, this allows you to not only remove all of your life to play at low life to gain the benefits of it, keep your darkness full so you always get a lot of extra free chaos damage, and at the same time have a way to recover all of your resources in terms of your health and your resource costs through one single mean. Like, this ascendancy by itself is just really exciting in the way it works, and pretty much this exact kind of design philosophy can be seen in all the ascendancies that they showed off, where each ascendancy just seems to have something where you can just go off with it and make a build all around it, rather than the ascendancies being generic, good at X or Y kind of builds ascendancy. Another good example of this is the Bloodmage. The Bloodmage basically forces you to play with your life as a resource. You are forced to take Sanguimancy before you can take any other point in the Bloodmage tree, which now makes it so all of your skills have a base life cost equal to your mana cost, meaning you're going to be spending your life. We've done a little bit of theory crafting based off of the artwork and the way the nodes are positioned, but what I personally think is that the left side is going to deal with making you have as much health as possible and playing a health stacker, given that we have Gore Spike, which gives you increased critical damage per 20 life. This isn't per maximum life, meaning it's based on current life, meaning you want to just get as much health as possible to get as much crit damage bonus as you can. On the right side, on the other hand, where there's no blood, we can speculate that it might be a low life based portion of the ascendancy where it's actively wanting you to sit at 1 health if possible to gain some sort of benefits. We have Crimson Power at the end of the right side, which makes it so energy shield from your body armor gives you extra life. You want to stack energy shield, which would then allow you to have a source of health while allowing you to drain all of your life away and use it as a resource. This by itself basically locks you into a playstyle of you have to play some sort of builds that is either stacking a lot of life or making sure all of your life is gone, which in PoE, for example, if we had the Deadeye, for example, it would never make you do anything like that. Sure, it'd make you shoot a bunch of arrows all over the place, but it never fundamentally changes how you have to build around the Ascendancy. Another good example of this is just the Chronomancer on its own. The Chronomancer allows you to stop time, it allows you to reset all of your cooldowns out of nowhere. Unfortunately, we don't really know much else about it, but given it's a time Ascendancy and they decided to add crazy things such as freezing every monster for a few seconds, I'm pretty sure GGG probably have cooked with this pretty heavily and made some other really interesting things. This Ascendancy by itself is just a completely new playstyle that's never available in PoE 2, and it's just really exciting. I love the design that they're deciding to go along with for PoE 2. At the same time, they aren't just going full balls to the wall crazy things, and they are going to have a few more ascendancies that are a little bit more rooted to the ground, that are going to be simpler if you don't want something that is either mind numbing like Chronomancer, where you have to think about how to best use your time stops, and you have something like the Deadeye, which is just very simple, gives you additional projectiles, likes attacking faster. And while we don't really know all the other nodes here, and I'm sure Deadeye probably is going to have 1 or 2 nodes that are going to fundamentally change how you want to play the game, it still goes to show that not everything is going to be something that you need a PhD to know how it works to be able to put together a build. You can just have strong generic nodes that give you good buffs. And this mix of both nodes that are generically powerful and interesting, along with nodes that just completely change your whole playstyle, is what I am so happy that GGG managed to accomplish with the new Ascendancies in PoE 2. We've gone from the bland design of the PoE 1 Ascendancies to a mix of very interesting things, which is honestly, in my opinion, just an A+ change. I can't stop praising this because I'm just looking forward to it myself so much. I just think all these Ascendancies are so cool, and I think they're just going to play so well that I am unbelievably excited to try it out for myself. To go over a few more interesting Ascendancies, just to give you a taste of what to expect in PoE 2, we have the Infernalist, which, for example, just straight up has a demonic form where sure, you take more damage, but you also get a massive cast speed and damage steroid, meaning if you can somehow deal with the added damage you're going to take, you're going to do substantially more damage than anything else. There's also another node behind it, which we don't know about, that is going to directly interact with demonic form, potentially making it even crazier, allowing you to maybe stack faster, or maybe change your playstyle, or maybe give extra buffs to your abilities if you've lasted in the form for a certain period of time. At the same time, the Infernalist also has Pyromantic Pact, which just completely replaces your mana with Infernal Flame. This goes up every time you attack, and whenever you hit maximum Infernal Flame, you reset it back to 0 and do a large fire hit to yourself. This basically makes it so you don't have mana costs anymore and you don't have to worry about a resource, but at the same time, you don't have to deal with constantly taking damage. You're replacing resource costs with needing recovery to deal with constant self-hitting. There's also some potential shenanigans here with some sort of automatic build if you ever see some sort of cast when damage taken added into PoE 2 like we have in PoE 1, potentially making Infernalist even more insane in the future depending on what comes into the game next. And to finish driving home this idea of all the Ascendancies are trying to do something new and enabling, I think the best example of this is just the Gemling Legionnaire itself. I am personally calling the Gemling Legionnaire the Scion of PoE 2 because it's pretty much doing the same thing that Scion is attempting to do, but in a much cooler way, where it's not necessarily giving you new abilities or augmenting specific playstyles, but it's just overall a generalist. It's just good in general. The problem with Gemling is it's really hard to say if it's going to be good or not because this Ascendancy is going to be so complex that we need to have the full information on everything it does, along with us needing to have quite a lot of information on PoE 2 and how it works to really figure out a build that's going to work well with what Gemling can offer. But if we ever do find a build that's going to want what Gemling offers, I think it's just going to be downright insane. But I like that instead of it focusing on I don't know, giving you additional projectiles or making your poisons better. It's just doing different things, such as you can now fit more skills into your build, or you gain free maximum resistances for fitting a bunch of variety of colored supports in your build. Another fun speculation I liked about this is that adaptive capability is the first node, and there's a node behind it that requires you to take it. Adaptive capability specifically gives you the ability to stack only one attribute, and for example, if you need 150 strength, it can be fixed by just getting 150 dex if dex is your highest stat, meaning that that node makes you want to do something with the stats where you're stacking one of them in particular, which means the node behind it could potentially be some sort of stat stacker node where it'll reward you for stacking a lot of dex or a lot of int or a lot of strength and nothing else, which by itself could allow us to take Gemling Legionnaire from a super generalist ascendancy to, well, there you go. That's how you put your build together, which is honestly going to be pretty cool. Overall, what I'm trying to get across to you here is that Ascendancies in PoE 2 are so much better than they are in PoE 1. Everyone I've talked to about this, we've literally spent 7 hours on my stream discussing all this, has just been super excited about everything, and everyone in chat is just constantly overflowing with, holy shit, I am super excited about X and Y, or I want to play this build, or that looks really cool, or this looks really fun. The excitement of new content that all of us get to experience for the first time is just so fun, and I'm so looking forward to trying all these in PoE 2. GG have really knocked it out of the park, and I'm excited to see what the final ascendancy for all the classes they're going to be available in the beginning of early access are going to be. And I'm interested to see what they're doing for the other 6 classes that we've had no information about. PoE 2 honestly can't come any sooner, and my excitement for it is just absolutely overflowing all over the place. And no matter what, I'm going to try my best to provide everyone with as much information as possible going into the game, so we're all as informed as possible in terms of what we want to try and fool around with. And if you want to see any of the theory crafting live before it does hit YouTube, you're more than welcome to come by my stream on Twitch. I'll be streaming every day up to PoE 2 and then every day for probably a few months during early access. And we should have a lot of fun theory crafting, coming up with builds together as a community. With all that said, I hope you kitties enjoyed this video. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you all in the next video.